The third season of The White Lotus begins with a mystery that pulls us in right away. A young man named Zion, played by Nicholas Devernay, discovers a dead body floating in the water near the luxury resort. It's a shocking way to kick off the season, and by the end of the seventh and final episode, we finally learn who the bodies belong to, and surprisingly, it's not just one person, but multiple people who end up dead. The main story centers around Rick, Walton Goggins, and Chelsea, Amy Lou Wood, who were romantically involved. Early in the finale, Rick promises Chelsea that he wants them to stay together forever. It's supposed to be a romantic moment, but what happens next completely flips the mood. In a dramatic and violent turn of events, Rick ends up shooting Jim Hollinger, played by Scott Glenn. The backstory here is intense. Rick had believed for years that Jim was responsible for killing his father. That belief is what brought Rick to Thailand in the first place. He was seeking revenge. So when Rick shoots and kills Jim, it feels like his mission is complete. But just as the audience is trying to process that moment, we're hit with a major twist. Jim's wife, Shritala, played by Lek Patravadi, tells Rick that Jim wasn't the man who killed his father, he was Rick's father. This means Rick just killed the man he came all this way to find, not out of hatred, but for family. To make matters more complicated, Jim wasn't just any man, he was a powerful businessman and co-owner of the White Lotus Hotel in Thailand. The emotions are already at a boiling point when things take another tragic turn. Jim's bodyguards come rushing to the scene after the gunshots. Rick, already unstable, reacts by shooting both of them. In the chaos, Chelsea, Rick's girlfriend, ends up being hit by a stray bullet. She's badly wounded, and Rick is devastated. In a moment of grief and desperation, Rick picks up Chelsea's lifeless body and carries her across a bridge in the resort, but just then, Shritala yells out to her new bodyguard, Gatok, Tame Thaptimthong, to kill Rick. Without hesitation, Gatok shoots Rick twice in the back. Rick and Chelsea both fall into the water, dead. These are the bodies Zion finds in episode 1, and now, after so much build-up, we finally understand the full story behind their deaths. But the body count almost goes higher. Lochlan, played by Sam Nivola, a teenager staying at the resort, nearly dies after accidentally drinking a poisoned smoothie. The smoothie had been made using a dangerous fruit that grows locally around the resort. Lochlan's father, Tim, played by Jason Isaacs, was the one who made the poisonous drink. In a dark twist, Tim originally intended for the rest of the family to drink the poison, not Lochlan. But in a moment of conscience, he changes his mind, deciding to take responsibility for his wrongdoings instead of harming his family. As the family leaves the resort by boat, they check their phones, and that's when Tim finally tells them about his financial crimes. He says that once they return to the US, he's likely to be arrested, but that they'll get through it together as a family. It's a moment of reckoning and unexpected unity. Meanwhile, the group of friends, Kate, Leslie Bibb, Jacqueline, Michelle Monaghan, and Laurie, Carrie Coon, have gone through ups and downs during their trip, but they leave the resort with their friendship repaired and stronger than before. This trio had their share of drama throughout the season, but in the end, they choose forgiveness and connection over conflict. After these intense events, the finale takes a breath with a montage, showing us where the rest of the characters end up. Greg, John Grise, who's had his own storyline full of secrets and fantasies, watches his girlfriend Chloe flirt with another man. This moment hints at Greg's earlier desires that were explored in episode 7, where he was rejected by Saxon, Patrick Schwarzenegger. It's subtle but adds a layer of quiet sadness and resignation to Greg's arc. Then there's Frank, played by Sam Rockwell, who is shown praying at a temple, suggesting he's seeking peace or redemption after everything that's happened. Gatok, now an important figure after killing Rick, is seen talking casually with Mook, played by Lalisa Manobal, a hotel staff member. Then he gets into a car with Shritala, indicating he's now her personal bodyguard. Gatok's journey from background character to trusted enforcer reflects how quickly power dynamics can change in the world of the White Lotus. But perhaps the most satisfying ending belongs to Belinda, played by Natasha Rothwell, and her son Zion. Remember Zion from the very first scene? He's not just a bystander, he plays a key role in the finale. Zion manages to negotiate a deal with Greg. If Greg agrees to give Belinda $5 million, Zion promises to stay quiet about Greg's possible connection to the death of Tanya, his former wife, back in Season 2 at the White Lotus Resort in Sicily. It's a smart, calculated move by Zion, who clearly learned how to play the game. Belinda gets the money, and it seems like she finally has the financial power she's always deserved. But there's a price. Belinda was planning to partner with a local businessman, Pornchai, Dom Hetrical, to open a wellness center in Thailand, a dream project she'd worked toward all season. But after receiving the money, she walks away from the partnership. This is especially bittersweet because it echoes what happened back in Season 1, when Tanya promised to invest in Belinda's wellness business in Hawaii, only to back out at the last minute. Now, with real money in hand, Belinda chooses control and independence over collaboration. She's tougher, perhaps a little colder, and definitely changed by everything she's gone through. The last scene of the season is powerful without saying much. Zion and Belinda are seen riding away in a speedboat, moving quickly and confidently away from the island. On the shore, Pornchai and the rest of the hotel staff wave goodbye, knowing that the moment is final. There's a mix of hope, regret, and new beginnings in this closing shot. Belinda may have walked away from one dream, but she's stepping into a new future, one where she's finally in charge. Season 3 of The White Lotus delivers on all fronts: mystery, tragedy, personal drama, and moral complexity. It begins with a question: whose body is in the water, and answers it in a way that's layered with emotion and shock. The deaths of Rick and Chelsea are heartbreaking, especially given the circumstances and the revelations surrounding Rick's father. Lochlan's near-death experience and Tim's redemption arc show us how close people can come to making irreversible mistakes and how some choose to face the consequences rather than run from them. The group of friends repairing their bond, the quiet heartbreak of Greg, the spiritual journey of Frank, and Gatok's rise all add texture to the story. And Belinda's final triumph, after being overlooked for so long, feels like a moment of justice, even if it's not without its own compromises. The season doesn't tie every loose end in a neat bow, but that's part of what makes The White Lotus so compelling. It reflects real life, messy, unpredictable, and full of choices that define who we are. In the end, the season leaves us with lasting images: bodies in the water, a boat pulling away from the shore, and characters forever changed by what happened at the resort.